Well, I thought how the other the suit was divided into people who were prepared, and he didn't give them nothing notice. It's just that in addition to the suit, there was this mention that previous, he was president of a previous petition with 11 signatures. I have not even read the whole 40-page suit. Yeah, because it didn't.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
And I just had this thing.
We're going to start at 7 p.m. and out of respect for your time as well as the park administration's time, we're going to start now. Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do the stage.
We're going to start now, and then we're also going to adjourn by 8 o'clock. So if there's any.
United States of America.
All right, so first we're going to call to order.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, so now we're going through our agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not on the agenda.
Thank you for another day. We ask you to bless this meeting in a special way. Touch their hearts, dear Lord. Help them understand only what's good for this community. Those who do not know you, the part of their sin, still bless them. With these and all over, we ask in the perfect name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
And Mr. President.
We're letting our parliamentarian address this. Go ahead.
No, sir, no. You need to step down today. We ask you as a community.
This is not on the agenda. You're not in order. We have heard you. That's it.
You are out of order.
You don't have to
You
tell me
are
that.
out of order. You are out of order. You are out of order. Okay.
Okay, wait till number 8.
I am going to address the issue of prayer.
Go ahead.
Jesus states in Matthew, if I remember correctly, when and how you all are to pray. Jesus said, do not pray as the hypocrites do in public. You are to pray in private so that your prayers will be answered in private. The fact that you're praying in public is a violation.
You're out of order. Completely out of order.
Okay, now, so we're going to go ahead and start this meeting. Continue the meeting. Yes, ma'am.
I can say for myself, I never pray as a hypocrite. Never.
Okay.
You just call all of us hypocrites.
Jesus
You, no, you have the context completely wrong.
Okay, we're starting the meeting. We're continuing the meeting. So we have 13 bullet points on this agenda today. This 11th day of June, 2019. So we had a call to order, adopt our May 14th meeting minutes. Old business is My Brother's Keepers, Area Agency on Aging, Student Appreciation Celebration Success, Pledge of Allegiance discussion, Spanish translation discussion, open floor for discussion, new business, it's extremely rude. We have a live meeting going on right now. We have more noise going on in the audience than we do up front. So please show some respect. Okay. We have. Are you always this obnoxious?
Are you?
Okay.
Are you?
Okay, we're starting a meeting.
Want to know another one?
If you want to go outside, please step out, and then you can have your conversation out there. So we have getting to know you outdoors at the Sims Bayou Trail next to the Heatherbrook Bridge.
Everything he's saying right now. You're not going to be any longer.
Let me know when you're ready to listen, because you're one individual, and there's approximately 25 people here.
Point of order. Ladies and gentlemen, you decided on these people to run your civic club. Be good, and let them get the business underway. Now, if you have questions, raise your hand and be acknowledged, and then you can speak. We're not going to interrupt you.
No, but we want him to step down because he's
Okay.
doing what he wants to
Okay,
do.
wait till we get to that point. But right now, let's have the meeting going like it's supposed to.
Thank you, Mr. Craney. All right. Open letter to board members and neighbors, Richard Cruz. Report from our treasurer, Richard Cruz. Open, this is number 12, we can scratch out. That was an error. And then 13 would be adjourn the meeting. So do we have the recording secretary? Do you have the meeting minutes for the 14th?
I don't have a copy.
Oh. We're taking a brief moment for the recording secretary to obtain a copy of the meeting minutes for the 14th.
The regular meeting of the Windsor Village Civic Club General Meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. on Monday, May 14, 2019, in Windsor Village Park by President Samuel Protect. 26 people were
It would be
present.
nice to be able to understand him.
Okay.
Sorry about that. The regular meeting of the Windsor Village Civic Club General Meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. on May 14, 2019, in Windsor Village Park by President Samuel Protect. 26 people were present. Open issue.
Thank you.
Tabling the adoption of the April 9th meeting minutes for further review. My brother's keeper, Omawale Allen, Community Involvement Coordinator, Treasurer's Report from Mr. Cruz, an open letter responding to Michelle Sykes' April 9th, 2019 memo, Village Voice May 2019 edition, shaping the village student appreciation celebration, and getting to know you outdoors. New business. Mr. Omawale Allen, the Community Involvement Coordinator for My Brother's Keepers, spoke about his organization that helps young black men and their families. Then Ms. Cynthia Ramin spoke about her organization, Area Agency on Aging. Mr. Cruz gave a financial report which was handed out before the meeting started. The amount of dues that came in was $13,752. The amount of money that is spent and owed is $71,517. He also said we need more people to pay their dues. Mr. Kanan then spoke about a pending lawsuit. Tiara Williams suggested mailing out a pamphlet over shore explaining the Civic Club's financial situation. Mr. Cruz Mr. Cruz suggested paying with PayPal. Agenda for next meeting: Pledge of Allegiance and National Prayer and translating the Village Voice to Spanish. Meeting was adjourned at 8:09 p.m. by President Samuel Pateca. The next general meeting will be at 7 p.m. on June 11, 2019 in the Village Park.
All right, thank you. So we will adopt those May 14th meeting minutes.
Point of order, you need to call for a vote. You need to ask to call for a motion.
I'm looking for the minutes to be approved. Okay. Motion approved.
No.
Any objectors? Any objectors to the motion? If none, motions are approved.
No.
I object.
Okay, there is one rejection.
So you need to now call who approves the motion.
Okay. Who approves the motion?
We had one objection. This has been this is being adopted. So now we're moving on to My Brother's Keepers.
People can abstain. That's why you call.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
We are going to go by Robert's Rules of Order, and I'm not talking politics, but we're talking proper procedure. Let's go by Robert's Rules of Order, so we will have all this confusion.
Thank you. Okay. Last month, we had My Brother's Keeper come to share a very useful, what I believe to be a useful and helpful talk And one of the most, I'll just run by a quick list and I'll provide a telephone number for anybody who's interested in the information that was provided by the organization My Brother's Keeper or the Area Agency on Aging. So they offer prescriptions, help assistance with prescriptions. They don't look at income. If you have AC issues and you need an air conditioner, they offer portable ACs for individuals that are 60 years old or older. They have also an emergency response button, something that you wear around your neck if you need that. They offer that assistance as well for emergencies. They offer adult daycare for 1 year at no charge, Meals on Wheels. They also are having an upcoming event on June the 27th, a free legal clinic. Just out of curiosity, by show of hands, how many people in this room have wills? Have a will? Oh, congratulations. Good. Excellent to see. Many folks pass without a will, and we believe it's important to have one. So if you don't have a will, they offer a free, they're offering a free clinic on the 27th. And the telephone number, if you have something to write with, if you don't, you can just ask me later on. The telephone number is 832-393-4395. And this is for the Area Agency on Aging. Okay. We had also an event that occurred last month, Student Appreciation Celebration.
May I say something about My Brother's Keeper?
Please.
I talked to Mr. Allen about us having the program here, and he said,
Can't hear you.
but anyway, I talked to Mr. Allen, the sponsor of that program, and he said that he would have to come out and work and talk to someone at Madison High School.
Okay.
And see who can get there to work with them and be a sort of a sponsor to maybe to do a lot of work with the students in high school and middle school.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Just 30 seconds, please.
And Mr. Sandy, one other thing, we have with us this afternoon Mr. Harris, the city deputy director.
Yes.
We also have Pastor, concerning the entrance and
The pickup?
no, the grass.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So we'll let them introduce in just a couple minutes. Thank you, men, for coming. Is there any questions about the My Brother's Keeper or the Area Agency on Aging? Did anybody need the telephone number? Okay. The Student Appreciation Celebration was hosted by the Civic Club, the board, and we had several kids that came out. Refreshments were offered. There was a moonwalk, and a DJ was also provided as well. So that was a success, and we look forward to having more of those celebrations honoring the children at this park in the future, sponsored by the board.
Excuse me. It wasn't this board that sponsored, it was the board of the park sponsored.
Well, when I arrived, that's what I thought. I thought initially it was the park, but when I got here, Miss B was unaware that there was an event happening, and so this.
Is she here now?
No, I don't see her. But the DJ was not provided by the park. The refreshments were, the food was not, and the moonwalk.
May I say this, please?
Sure.
Get this straight now, because Miss Dietrich, we asked her about letting Hispanic families have something in the park, as we had been having Black History Month, and one lady wanted to have it. So we had asked him schools if he would be willing to work with that, and he said yes, and he did. Now, it was not, we had a lot of our Civic Club people present, and it was something that did buy chips and things of that nature, but we did not sponsor this from the Civic Club. We did not sponsor from the Civic Club.
The Civic Club, we don't need to get into semantics. It was about celebrating children The children were honored. The children ate ice cream. The children enjoyed the moonwalk. They had a great time. We can talk about it later, but I'm saying to you now that it was the Civic Club that sponsored that event. I would like to introduce the two gentlemen from the city of Houston, because we only have an X amount of time, so we need to get this going. I don't want to go over 8, and I want to respect the employees that are here at the facility.
I do too, but I don't appreciate you telling me, I'm 84 years old. I don't appreciate you telling me to shut up.
I never used that word, ma'am.
That's not the way, that's what you said.
I didn't say
Don't
that.
cut me off like that. I know what
Please
I'm
don't
talking
miss.
about. Because you spent some money, we're not liable for what you spent, because it was not sponsored by the city club.
You are very, he has been very respectful and
Thank you,
talkative.
Lord. I'm glad I haven't grown up with this.
He has been very respectful to you, Ms. Lucas.
I've never told anyone to shut up. That's not even in my vocabulary. It's never happened.
You said you're not going to discuss it.
This is not the appropriate time to have a conversation. We can talk about it afterwards. This is an official meeting and people want to move on. So I'm
very cordial.
Also, Mr. Harris?
Yes.
All right, if you could please stand up and introduce yourself.
Again, my name is Reggie Harris. I'm the Deputy Assistant Director for the City of Houston. Normally, you got to excuse me here, I do some pro bono work also. And so we were doing some pro bono work north of town. But I'm here today, again, was invited by Mr. Lucas. What we try to do, again, we're the Department of Neighborhoods, and what we try to do is that when we're asked to come out, we try to step up and do what we can. My understanding is there was an issue with some median work or some work that the community was trying to get done. Of course, the city is responsibility, but everyone knows that the city, they may come through maybe once or twice a year, and that's it. So a lot of communities, of course, they step up and try to use their own resources to try to maintain, unfortunately, city right of way. With the request, what I did is that we had Pastor Toston here, which was one of the participants with our what we call our Modown program, which is an organization that goes out. They help underfunded areas, those who don't have the money, to go at a lower cost to try to help beautify the community. And again, I wanted to come personally. Again, this is not anything to do with city. I got a city shirt on. I was invited and I came. When I came, I wanted to introduce Mr. Toston. Now, besides that, and I hope you just give me about 2 or 3 minutes. I work this whole city. I've been here with the city of Houston for about 15 years. Okay, and again, I hope I'm not talking out of turn. Okay, but one thing I am is I'm a respectful young man. I'm an outsider looking in. But this civic group here has got some work to do.
Yes.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm very, all the above. Again, I'm trying to hold my tongue. I've never been in any civic meeting in this whole city and hear something like this what's going on here today.
And what's sad is this is the 3rd meeting in a row.
Well, ma'am, I'm an outsider looking in. I don't know who did what, why, when, and where. But it doesn't make a difference. But what I am telling you is this meeting needs to be about your community. And moving your community forward. Okay? So this is something that y'all need to, again, if this is the young man that you elected, then guess what? He's the person you elected. Again, I'm not here to try to tell you how to run it. But what I am telling you, we need to get some organization here. Because you're in here for the benefit of the community, okay? So your personal feelings that you have, let it go, okay? Because this community needs to, whatever it may be, ma'am. But what I am saying is that this community needs your support in here, okay? When we come to these civic meetings, we come in here to help. We really do. Because that would change these communities. The city of Houston can only do so much. And unfortunately, very little. What makes communities and what changes communities are the people in this room. Okay? So, the head, they're going to follow the head, right? The lead. And this is what, we've got young folk, we've got young people in this community that really probably looks up to everyone in here. And the only thing I'm saying, again, I don't have a dog in the hunt, like I say in the country, but what I will tell you is that we need to come together. We need to come together for one common cause, and that's about this community and the future of this community. Okay? I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Reggie, you were mentioning broke down. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what is the time frame from when a community says we need help until the help arrives?
Okay, so unfortunately, the mow-down program, again, Mr. Toaston and his group was a part of our mow-down program, which the mow-down program has officially been suspended for a while with the city of Houston. But we still have organizations that are willing to help, okay? Again, they are the ones who go out, if we have elderly, those who can't afford to be able to mow your yards, keep your medians mowed, whatever else, then this young man here, he pastors here right off of, what is the address, Pastor? Harlem Clark, name of your church? New Nation Baptist Church. And he just wanted to give back to the community. That's why. That's why I brought him here. They go out, they'll look at yards if you have them. Again, I'm not here being a salesman. I'm just bringing someone who can help you and help this community, okay? And what his organization does is, what they've done for this whole city is, they've really helped underprivileged. You know, you've got someone who don't have the resources of mowing their yard, may need their trash, you know, may need their yard edged and blown. Then his group, his church goes out and at a much, much lower cost, help them get it done, okay? Again, he was one of those, when the mow-down program was suspended, he was one of the ones who kept calling, saying, what can I do, what can I help? Is there a group that needs to be helped? Well, when he found out about this civic group, of course, of Mr. Lucas's request, you know, his church is within your district. Again, he's right there off of Harlem Clark. So to me, it was just a good match for him to come and help the community that, of course, that he pastors in. So again, his name is, go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Pastor.
I'm Greg Toaston. I pastor the Nation Church in Harlem Clark. What we try to do is help people up and also help the community. So what we do with the money we get, the people that cut, we help them pay their bills, we give them money. And we just try to help people like elderly people, you don't have to be elderly, people just can't get around. We try to help them to keep their neighborhood clean. We've been at it for this is our 5th year. And now, I don't live here. I live in Lake Jackson, Texas. But I grew up here in the city, so I wanted to give back to the city I grew up in. So I started pastoring here 21 years ago. So we got a project going, and he said, y'all needed some help, so I said we could help out.
All right, thank you. So again, we're here just for a resource for you. Yes, ma'am?
There was a hand in the back as well.
Yeah, he'll give his comment. Does somebody have a question for me?
In the back, you had a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to change the subject for a bit. I would like to see someone get in touch with the police department. Cars are racing down Croquet, going both ways.
Okay.
I live on Darlinghurst and Croquet, and they come from Orem and they go all the way through at about 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
Let me address that.
Huh?
I found out that you can get bumps out here, but you have to pass this petition around and sign it, submit it to the city, and they'll decide when they can
Look
put
into
it.
that, sir. The bumps will cost us $1,500 a piece, and that was years ago. If we could at least maybe get some signs up, speed limit signs put up, on both, going both ways.
I'll look into that. It was mentioned to me by someone else the other day, so I'll call and.
And thank you for sharing that. Also, my home is on the bayou, and we've been noticing a lot of ATVs, 4-wheelers, 3-wheelers, motorcycles going back and forth. And so law enforcement has reached out to this community and said that they are working on a plan to have officers on the trail so that they can minimize that kind of traffic, because motor vehicles are not supposed to be on the trail, and perhaps maybe they can have a joint force where people, they're patrolling the trail and also checking the various streets like Croquet.
Well, they're only supposed to be on the trail, and I guess the trail is still there, from Croquet to Heatherbrook, and then I think it goes across to Post Oak. Nothing on the other side of the bayou, either way.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that.
I would just like to say that I did report the situation about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I asked the police officer, and they would like to make some money to come to Croquet and Heatherbrook and follow the traffic to Grapevine, because it was terrible.
What did they say?
They said they would be on alert, they would be on an alert for that.
Okay.
I don't know, I haven't seen one.
I think if we can get some board members to invite someone from the local station, the Southwest station, perhaps if we voice our concerns, maybe if they will act on it more. So for the next meeting, I personally will reach out to at least one officer to see if they can come to our next board meeting and provide some information, and more importantly, create a plan to patrol the areas. Because I'm seeing less patrol of Windsor Village today than I did 3 years ago.
The police have, over a lot of years, off and on, have been very active out here when we've asked them.
Okay.
And particularly they would put cars where they could watch
Sure.
these streets where we're having people. And I think the people that are going through don't even live in Windsor Village.
Yeah.
They're just using us to shop for the main streets.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, any other questions regarding the mow down program, Mr. Toston or Mr. Harris? Any comments about that? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate it, thank you. Just on a related note, how many folks in this room have seen the new mural that was painted? Thank you, sir. That was painted. Okay, about a quarter of you. If you haven't taken the time to check it out, it's absolutely beautiful. It was just recently painted. They used a combination of spray paint and paint brushes to do the mural. It took us several, yes ma'am. They did, they put a sealant on it. Yeah, it is, it's really nice. They put the sealant on about 10 days ago. It was a 6-step process, and the number 6 process was putting a clear coat to help preserve it and weatherproof it better. But the gentleman that did it, his name is Elson Danilo Lemos. And he's originally from Guatemala. He used to do graffiti, and he turned from graffiti art to murals. And so sometime in the future, I will invite him here to share his story, because he's got an interesting story to share. And now he's helping beautify Houston with murals and legal painting as opposed to graffiti. All right. Just to that end, the next Getting to Know You Outdoors is going to be at the Sims Bayou Trail. It's going to be on June the 15th at 7 p.m. The 15th is on a Saturday. So if you have the time or the interest to go out and meet some of the neighbors, it's a great idea to just get outside of an official meeting capacity and getting to know each of you outdoors on the trail. Okay, we're going to go to the discussion on Pledge of Allegiance and Spanish translations. Before we go to that, board members, is there anything that you wanted to say before we opened up the discussion to the public?
Yes, I have something I'd like to say about the grass study.
Okay.
You would ask if there's a fee, how much it would be before the people make the mind to say we want that service.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't ask that, so we can't tell the people that it'd be cheaper to go by individual credit card, what it would be by.
You're talking about the guests that you invited?
I'm talking about the estimate up here at Heather Brook, I'm talking about the park, or one of
The 5 entrances.
Yes.
I'm not sure I understand what you're say the point again. I'm not following you.
That would be, okay, he did explain to you, thank you.
She's asking that we didn't talk about what we would charge, so you can compare it to other contracts.
Okay, well, have you assessed the entrances?
We talked to Mr. Harris, and I got together, and he said he was supposed to do a negotiation.
Okay.
He told me that he had to leave, just to let y'all know that he was going to charge
If you could say, the question that Mrs. Lucas asked was, what is the fee that this program is charging the Civic Club versus what a fee would be from getting a second or third bid? And so this Civic Club is not going to hire a mowing company or mowing organization without getting at least 2 bids. That's the way. So he's offering information on fees.
There was one time when we were really desperate, and there were young men in the neighborhood that had mowers that went and did it, and we paid them a little bit. They were young teenagers that were out for the summer.
Okay.
I don't know if that's, you know, I don't remember hearing anything bad about that.
Okay. I reached out to a
They just
local.
need to be supervised.
Yeah, I reached out to, excuse me, ma'am. I reached out to, we can't have multiple talking, please hold on.
Well, you could let them answer the
Well,
question.
hold on, show some respect. He's-
Okay.
When
he's-
I am
he's-
respected, I will
He
respect.
was very
Yes, ma'am.
courteous
And
to
what
you.
has happened to the lawnmower that we have?
Okay, so I wanted to address first the mowing part. The mowing aspect is twofold. One, I've reached out to a local Boy Scout organization, and they do mow lawns, but they don't provide lawn mowers. So they said they have some boys that would be willing to mow at no cost if we were to provide lawn mowers. But which leads me to your next question: is what happened to it? Well, there's a disagreement, a misunderstanding about where who owns the lawnmower. Okay,
The Civic Club
so
owns the
so
lawnmower.
the individual that
I was president at the time,
the individual that has the
and I
lawnmower
know who it is.
claims that there was no written agreement for the lawnmower, that there was a verbal agreement, because I asked him for the written agreement, and he said there was never a written agreement. So, since you were the past president, was there a written agreement?
I don't know, it's been too many years ago,
Okay.
but that lawnmower was purchased by the Civic Club.
For the
to
Civic
mow-
Club.
To mow the entrances and whatever else needed.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The last board made a deal with Franklin Hall that he could have the lawnmower because of his storage of the lawnmower, and if he mowed the lawn, the entrances for 1 year,
Which board are you talking about?
the one you own. It's
Okay,
in your
no,
minutes.
that is incorrect.
It's in your minutes because
That
you
is
made the
incorrect.
motion to agree with it.
That is incorrect.
No, that is correct.
No, that is incorrect.
Well, what's
Because
incorrect about
We
it?
made no deal for him mowing the lawn.
What was the deal then?
The deal was for him to replace the sign at, I believe, Trafalgar or Heatherbrook. I don't remember exactly. Heatherbloom. It was for him to replace the sign at Heatherbloom and to fix the sign further down at Heatherbloom, the original sign. That was the
This
deal.
one on croquet too, but I don't know.
No, that was not part of the deal.
That was
The deal was for him to replace that sign and fix the other sign, and once he did that, then he could have the lawnmower. That was the deal.
Michelle, was that done, was that agreement condensed in writing?
Yes,
Okay, where is that
it's
agreement?
in the minutes of the
It's
board
not in the
meeting.
minutes, because I've read the minutes, it's not there. There is, and if
Yeah,
you
it's in the
have,
minutes of the board meeting.
okay, it's one thing to have,
Produce the minutes to show me that they're not there.
you were the recording secretary,
And
okay?
I know it's in the minutes.
Okay,
It's in
so,
my copy of the
so
minutes.
then my request to you is to provide that for our next meeting, okay? Please
Our
provide
next
that.
general meeting, sure.
Or the board meeting, either or. And hold your question for just a minute because we want Mr. Toston to answer the question. Thank you for your patience on that.
We're only charging 7 cents per square feet. 7 pennies per square feet.
What does that translate into dollars? So if you were to say, if we said we have 5 entrances and we would like to have, this would be my request if you don't have an answer to this, to please condense the bid into writing, okay? And I'll give you my contact information and I'll share it with the board so that we have, because we want to get away from verbals and go onto paper, okay?
The reason why we said 7 cents
Uh-huh.
per square feet is because we haven't seen the properties.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
Oh, I see, okay,
So, we supposedly, I rode around, I've been all through here.
okay,
But I don't know what's what.
okay.
So to make it simple, I just said, we just said 7 cents. This is a square foot, this block right here.
Okay. All right, so I will have to create the time and energy to show you the 5 entrances so that we can get your bid on paper and say this is the amount that we would be willing to charge the Civic Club.
There's actually only 2 that need to be mowed.
I'm sorry?
There's actually only 2 that needs to be mowed. That's Heatherbrook and
Because are you saying the
Trafalgar.
other 3 are maintained by the city?
No, they're not, and it's the entrance at Croquet, going south, and down at the other end for people coming north.
Carol, would you have any objections, and we can talk about it after the meeting, but would you have any objections to showing Mr. Toston at some future date the areas that need to be mowed?
Yeah.
Okay,
fine.
that'd be great. So that's Mr. Carroll, he's, Carroll Craney, he's on the board, he's a director, and if you can get with him and get his contact information, he will show you that. There was a hand in the back, Ms. Yvonne?
Yes, Franklin will
Thank you.
probably give you that lawnmower if you pay him rent for storing it.
I had a conversation with him, and he said that the Civic, he will give back the lawnmower if the Civic Club comes up with $400. And his logic for the $400 fee was that he put money to maintenance the lawnmower, and therefore he wants compensation for the maintenance he put into it. So he said if the Civic Club gives him $400, he would give it back.
I'd like to see the results of that.
Okay.
Well, and that maintenance of his lawnmower was because he used the lawnmower and broke it.
Okay. And I'm not taking sides. I don't have a complete picture because I don't have a written agreement to make a judgment call on it. But a lawnmower does need to be maintained. So if he's had it for X amount of years, I have no doubt that he did put something into it to maintain it. But how much he...
But he was also given, they were also given an amount of money for gasoline and stuff
I see.
at the time.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Toston had shared the fee, and so we had a couple board members that wanted to speak, but this is an opportunity to hear from the community. So which board members would like to speak, if any, on the issue of the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would like to speak on this.
Okay.
In regards to the Pledge of Allegiance, as you all know, the professional football games hold the Pledge of Allegiance before the start of their games. They're not doing that because they're patriotic or love the government. The reason the Pledge of Allegiance, let me finish, please.
I think you need to take it to a vote and.
Let me finish, please.
This is a discussion.
Okay, you still need to take it to a vote, and we
Well,
will, it'll be over.
let me finish, please. The reason the Pledge of Allegiance is done before the start of pro football games is because the government is paying them to do that. Okay? Otherwise, it wouldn't get done.
You have
Okay.
proof of that?
So it's a business decision, and that's the way things are done
You have
with
proof of that?
business.
Can
Pardon
you
me?
prove us that the government is paid them to do it?
Just do a Google research.
So, conspiracy issue.
No, it's documented fact that the government pays the National Football League
We're not a
to
football
have the
team.
Pledge of Allegiance before the start of
Sir,
each game.
this is a
Otherwise, it
civic
wouldn't happen.
club. It is not a football team.
Yeah, one person at a time.
For the United
All right,
States, we need
thank
to
you.
say the pledge.
I'm for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, give me 3 minutes. I'm a senior citizen. My husband fought in the war. I am a descendant of slaves. But America is the best place that I know right now for me and my family. You don't have to say the pledge. That only those who believe in it say it. But at least let it be open for us to say it. I have been in this community 46 years. I have a grandson that may believe like he does. But it doesn't stop me from saying it. All I want you to do is give me the privilege of saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay,
I believe in what you're saying, and I believe that you believe it, but I don't believe it. So I want you to give a senior citizen the privilege of saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible and justice for all. This might not be the ideal place for you, but it's the ideal place for me, and we're paid for my home.
I'll second that
I have
one.
one question, if I may.
Okay.
How is that helping the homeless vets? You've got hundreds of thousands of homeless vets out
What
there.
does that got to
What
do?
happened to last year?
My husband is
What
dead.
happened to that?
let's take that to a vote.
Okay,
I make a motion that we vote on whether to include the pledge or not.
it's on the agenda.
I second the motion.
On the agenda today, the point of this conversation is to have a discussion. And
So
the
you
next,
are
and the next,
the public.
and the
You
next,
are supposed to serve.
and the next meeting that we're gonna have, the next meeting we're gonna have, we will put it to a motion.
No,
But
We voted now.
One thing.
Robert rules of order made, motion made and accepted.
One
We
thing.
got found.
Let's do it.
When,
We going into a vote.
when I look at video of Obama addressing the House and the Senate, it's like.
We are not the
You-
House, we are not the Senate. Calls for a
You
vote.
all-
The motion was made and seconded.
You all-
Your job to hold the
You all
vote.
are behaving like you're the Republicans.
Okay, next topic for
Listen to Obama.
discussion.
Okay, all right, guys, so is there any other people in the room that would like to make a point of discussion on the Pledge of Allegiance? Is there anybody else that would like to? Okay, go ahead.
You know, here's the, singing and to you. You know, we can always look for a fight.
Amen.
But the thing to get peace, that's so hard. Anytime we got a meeting, we got an organization, and we see God on the outside, we don't want prayer. We're not praying to pledge allegiance, but that's an honor that the soldiers received when they were in war. When they saw the American flag flying, they knew then our soldiers had captured that area and that they were free to go in and be safe. Now, we don't have that wall going on here, physical wall, but we got a verbal wall going on. And I think we need to have some respect one for the other, not just the president. I think the president's supposed to lead out being respectful, he's a leader. You set the example.
Thank you.
And we all have our civil rights, you know. It was time when we couldn't, black folk couldn't say nothing. We can talk now. We can talk now. We have the right to speak what we need to speak. So let's us try to put people on the page and respect each other. We don't need to fight. We've gone through the fight for 3 or 4 years. I'm tired of it.
Thank you.
We got to fight in this.
We have a hand that was first in the back. David?
Yes, my name is David Cummings. On the Pledge of Allegiance part, I feel it will only be fair to the rest of people that come to the Civic Club to table this to the, and do the vote on the next meeting. That way everybody's aware and everybody can be more fair.
Absolutely, I completely agree, and thank you for sharing that. So I'm not going to take a position for or against the pledge. I have not taken a position for or against the pledge. I simply wanted to expand and broaden the conversation, expand the range, and it's been placed in the Village Voice, so everybody in the community has notice of it, and the next meeting that we have, there will be a motion for a vote where more individuals or people that have received notice, because notice has only been given in the last 24 hours. Yes.
I'm just going to speak as a U.S. citizen. I became U.S. citizen 25 years ago. I have come from a country that was oppressed by leaders and do not let you speak freely. When I become U.S. citizen, I enjoy and I don't take for granted any minute America or United States or our leaders, because the privilege that we have, and all of you that are born U.S. citizen here, that you take for granted this country and the privilege that you take, I don't take it. So whenever I can say the Pledge of Allegiance, I say it. Whenever I can sing the anthem, I say it. Because my heart is here in America. Because I have benefit of the freedom of speech, of the benefits that I have to see America working together. But when we have a leader that wants to oppress and that wants to put their ideologies and impose their beliefs, that is not America. That's a dictatorship. And we are not longer in any of the third world countries, in any of the islands that those dictators tell you what to do. We are Americans. And all of you that were born here in the United States, for one who has fought in the war for have the freedom that we have, the privilege. No matter where you're coming from, no matter what religion, no matter the color of your skin. First of all, and the last that I want to say, America, first native language was from the Indians, not English.
That's right.
And all of us, we have come from some other countries than being born here. Just because you were born in here does not mean that you are not have ancestors from the past. And you have been suffering, you have been enslaved, you have been oppressed. And we don't need to be oppressed, we don't need to be telling what to do anymore. That's what we are. We are a community. And we all as a community need to work together. No one should be imposing to us what they think or what they want to do. Let's not allow that. This is America. This is 2,000 years.
Yes.
We cannot allow that to happen. We need to have the privilege and have the honor to say the pledge of the flag of the one that has given us freedom. And no one is going to take that away. Nevertheless, a divided town, a divided people never succeed. We need to, that's why we call United States, because all the states were united and there was fought in the Civil War.
Thank you.
All right.
It was fought in the Civil War to be united.
We have another, we have other people that want to speak. We don't have enough monopoly in speaking, so thank you for sharing. All right, Yvonne.
I haven't finished.
Yvonne, we have other people that want to speak. Yes, Yvonne, you'll be next, sir. Yvonne?
My son went to Vietnam. He came back. He committed suicide. I pledge allegiance to the
Yes.
Sorry for your loss. Yes, sir.
There's a motion on the floor. That's been
The
seconded.
motion is not being accepted.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, it's been done, sir.
No, wait.
Who's the parliamentarian?
Wait a minute. There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded and needs to be voted on.
We need to be
The motion has not been.
No, we are the community.
It's been seconded.
No, we the community, we say that we need to say.
Today is a discussion, sir. If you want to make your vote, the next meeting we will have a vote. Where we have, we're moving on. The next is the Spanish translation. Okay, we have one more person that wants to speak. Go ahead. I'm not acknowledging it.
Would you take over from the president?
I have your attention, please. Good evening to everyone here in this room. My name is Elizabeth Bell. I am the Vice President of the Civic Club. I would like to make a statement to the body. I am asking Officer Johnson, don't let anybody interrupt me. Nobody. First of all, the board did not authorize that Village Voice newsletter to be printed. It was printed and distributed by our president. A bunch of propaganda. Ain't nothing on there important we want to hear.
That's your opinion.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. We emailed him the information, which I made copies and left on the table so everybody could see what we asked him to put in the Village Voice. He omitted. I think he said he got it too late. That would have been his excuse anyway. He printed a bunch of junk. Nobody wanted to see.
That's very rude.
No, it's not. It's junk.
You're very rude. But
Okay, the board, okay.
And you're out of
The
order.
board, I told you to shut up.
You are out of order.
Officer Johnson, would you ask them to be quiet?
Point of order. Point of order.
Parliamentary.
Okay.
Point of order.
You do not have
Mr.
The
President.
board wanted to,
Elizabeth, hold it. Mr. President, according to Robert Rules Order, you got a motion on the floor that's been seconded.
Yes.
You need to vote.
Keep going.
Because we're not doing it your way.
We're listening. Go ahead. Keep
not the
going.
way, it's the community way.
Liz, are you finished with your speech? Then keep going, please.
Let her talk.
okay, and then we can vote after I finish talking. Okay, the board wanted to meet with Mr. Samuel, quote unquote. He says, send an email or text or whatever he sent me. We will call a special board meeting with the committee to discuss the Village Voice. instead of going back and forth. That's because he didn't want to print what we asked him to print. Okay? He doesn't want to include the board in any discussions. He want to make all of them. He wants to be a dictator. That's what it is.
It's time for him to step down.
That's the end. Let's vote.
Okay, no, hold on. Hold on. Elizabeth Bell has made several accusations, and in fairness, I would like to respond to some of those accusations. It does matter. This is what integrity looks like. Okay.
Come on. One at a time. We don't need all of it. But then, one at a time.
Okay, so here we go. So the first point I want to mention is that Elizabeth Bell said that the recommended Village Voice was emailed to...
Do we have to let
Quiet, please. Quiet. So, Mrs. Bell made the accusation that the Village Voice was emailed to Samuel Kateka. And she's absolutely correct. She emailed a recommendation on June the 7th at 7:58 p.m. 8 days after the Village Voice was written. 8 days. So if you're going to become, hold on, I let you speak, so let me respond. If they were never excluded. They were not excluded. Getting to know you was Richard Cruz. The celebration for students was Mrs. Lucas. They were included in the Village Voice. The bottom and top line is that we have some board members, like Mrs. Bell, who are lazy. And instead of producing a record, hold on 1 second. You can't do it. Okay, so here we go. Last point I want to share. We're being obnoxious. The last thing I want to say. I can't do it, officer. We got a bunch of people screaming like animals. It's ridiculous. I'm responding to your accusations, ma'am. And what I want to say in closing to the accusations, if any board member wants to recommend information to the Village Voice, you must do it in a timely manner. Doing it 7 days into the month is inappropriate and reckless. So if any board member wants to recommend any information in the article, do so the month before it's being published, or at least 2 weeks beforehand. But you doing it 7 days into the month was ridiculous. So,
there's a motion on the floor.
So next, moving forward. David, go ahead, David.
This is the same thing. This is the reason why we have, sometimes our lawsuit right now.
Yes.
A group of people will group together with their clique and want to get things out. That's how we want to know where we were last time. Why can't we come together and let's do the votes properly and get everybody on the floor?
Agreed, 100%. And the proper
is a motion.
We have no.
This issue has been an issue for all 3 meetings that Mr. Kateka has.
This is not true. Okay, we're moving on to the Spanish. We're moving on to the Spanish translation.
No.
Is there anybody who would like to speak?
It's up for a vote.
The vote is not, the president has not recognized it. It's already done. Okay, based on all of the interruptions, Michelle Sykes interrupted, this meeting is now adjourned.
You are adjourned.
I told you I should put me the book page.
You're not going to the president. All right, so send us the one who does